Welcome to episode 129 of the Sports Marketing Machine podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Neiser. Today is a masterclass on how to grow your fan base the right way. I am joined by Adam Winslow, the Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer for the Florida Everblades. Florida Everblades hockey team in the ECHL. He helped lead one of the most impressive growth stories in minor league sports over the last few years. In just 4 seasons, they've increased their game day attendance by 27%. That's nearly 1,500 additional fans in the building every single night, and they didn't do it with a giant budget or relying only on wins and losses. They did it by getting smarter with technology, personalization. They did it using data-driven marketing and a relentless focus on the fan experience. Adam's going to share how his team took a step-by-step approach, testing small campaigns, doubling down on what worked, and turning marketing into a true revenue engine. You'll hear lessons that any team, regardless if you're in hockey, baseball, basketball, college athletics, roller derby, whatever it is, that you can apply. So grab your notebook because this one is loaded with practical strategies that you can bring back to your team. Let's dive in with my conversation with the great Adam Winslow. It is an honor and a privilege to welcome the great Adam Winslow to the podcast. Adam, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me. This has been a time in the making here of getting us together. So I think it's going to be a good thing.
Yep, I'm excited to talk about all the great things that are happening down in Florida, all the great things you and your team are doing. But we're going to back the truck up a little bit before we start talking about how you've increased attendance and how all the great things have been happening. So you joined the Everblades in 2020,
Yeah.
smack dab in the middle of COVID, and thinking through that. And I know we talked a little bit before we hit record, but like just the idea of you becoming a marketing director somewhere else, where everywhere else in America are laying off marketing directors, just the sheer fact of that was just unbelievable. And then where we are today, we'll talk through that in a minute. But just the moment of you getting hired in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, it was really wild because I moved down here in February of COVID, and I literally the picture behind me is actually my first game ever with the Blades, but it was also the last game of that year because of COVID. So I guess that's a good reminder on the wall of really where you've come from and what you've been through, right? So it was really wild. I moved down by myself. My wife and my twin boys at the time were still up in New York because they were going to finish the school year. COVID hits, and I thought I was actually going to get shipped back to New York. Like in the grand scheme of it, obviously. People, over all industries got furloughed or laid off, whatever the case may be. And, I went to my superiors and was like, am I shipping back to New York? Like, I still got boxes in my condo down here of like, okay, I'm not going to unpack these because I don't know. And, they were very, very good to me. Craig Brush, Scott Bryan, Chris Palin, all said, no, we recruited you. We want you to move your family down here. At this time, I'll tell you that my house went up in New York. It sold in a day. Before COVID hit, so my wife and my kids moved in with my in-laws, which you could just imagine what that was like during COVID with all those people in the house. But my wife's packing up a house, and I'm like, am I staying here? Like, what are we doing? And kudos to the Hoffman family, obviously Craig, Chris, Scott. They chose to muscle through it the best they could, and I'm still here.
Love it. So 2021, 2022, at the end of that season, you've got just a shade under 5,400 fans per game, so 5,327. Now we're taking a look at what you did last year, and you posted 6,758, so almost a 1,500 fans per game increase in a matter of 4 seasons. Like, you don't see that except potentially at the major league level where winning has a lot to do with it, but you don't typically see that in the minor league level. So I think this is so many great lessons, so many great takeaways for sports teams, regardless if you're in hockey, basketball, soccer, doesn't make a difference. There's some great takeaways here, but let's just kind of look back, like those 4 years, like a great pat on the back for everyone, but what would you say all of these things contributed, or was there one thing that did it? It had to have been everything, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a mixed bag of everything. Let's go through COVID. Let's talk about real world stuff real quick. The world in itself. Florida is a state where people started to move or flourish. So our population started to grow over time. We have our snowbird season, but you're really starting to see traffic year round. So of course, population growth had something to do with that. I would definitely say. Having said that, one of the hardest things for us is we live in Southwest Florida where there's a thousand more things to do. The weather's nice. You can go outside. There's an ocean. There's a beach. Like those types of things. So it's not just because population growth all of a sudden everybody wants to go to a hockey rink, right? So there's that part of it. Technology had a huge part in it. When I first came here, at the time, what was really working was our jersey auctions would basically be live in person post game, and you got operations has to take down the glass and build a stage, and we got fans staying after overnight. We kind of incorporated. I had a relationship in my previous life when I was in baseball with Jonathan and Dash. So I was like, we should really try this Dash thing. And there was some pushback a little bit of like, we've always done things this way and it's done fairly well. And that's part of the argument down here is, you're down in Southwest Florida, you got 5,300 fans. It's a pretty built building that's full. Well, if it's not broke, let's not try to fix it type scenario. So I think it's tweaking it. Really, COVID really got us to really utilize Dash because the digital side, no in-person stuff, so we still wanted to provide that value. And then all of a sudden that took off. I mean, we were doing 15, 17, $18,000 jersey nights in person, and now we're doing 25, 30, 35,000 a night. So now the wheels are turning of like, okay, we practiced this one thing with technology, it brought us to this. We started to use, like, we had MailChimp. We would use MailChimp as an email service, I would say. And basically what we sent was previews of the game, written recaps, player releases. So we were using it from a communications perspective, but we weren't using it as a marketing perspective and trying to, get information out to fans of the promotions and those types of things. So we started to then just drop in our graphics or drop in some creative content that we could do of like, hey, we have hump day this week, $3 beers, $3, click this link and buy tickets. That started to really pick up. And our email marketing in general, I think we have an over between 40 and 45% open rate right now, which
Wow.
this day is still pretty good.
Yeah,
Right?
that's great.
Then the texting platform came into play, right? And then we used a service called Podium, and basically what that was is we were just fielding, customer complaints, inquiries, where do I park, the stuff that you still need to communicate with. But again, it was just a communication tool. We turned it into a outgoing, targeting ticket. Don't forget we got a game tonight. You want a ticket? Here's a ticket link. Like very little things. I'll tell you, 5 years ago, right around there, we weren't spending any money on meta ads. Zero. And then that took a little bit of trial there of like, hey, I'm not looking to spend 25 grand. Let's try $100 for a targeted teddy bear toss game that already does fairly well, but let's see what reach it gets, what engagement it gets, what ticket sales does it get, and how's that ROI, how do we measure it? So, I think those pieces, and then really what really put us over the edge was a couple years ago, Craig Brush went to a Board of Governors meeting and they pitched him StellarAlgo, which was a customer data platform. I believe Toledo was the only team in our league using it at the time. Craig comes back to me in the office and from Board of Governors, and he just plops this thing on my desk and says, StellarAlgo, I think it's something, but I need you to look into it and tell me if it's something that we should do. And I dove into it. I spent probably 3 or 4 days doing research, going across. Luckily we have the internet and we can do that type of stuff. And I came back and I said, this is really something we should do, but it's a sizable investment. Like this is really, but I really think integrating, it integrates our current MailChimp, and we can actually target specific people to specific things. I think this is where I go, the world's kind of already there, but we in our industry, I don't think are really there yet, at least at our level. I said this is probably going to make it. I go, this is probably going to make it a big, huge thing, and essentially that gets integrated with our MailChimp. It gets integrated with our Vasi texting platform. We've now upgraded and integrated our meta ads. So, and we've also upgraded and done our Shopify, our merchandise. Right now, our merchandise in the last 12 months has pretty much doubled to tripled each month in total revenue through that, because we're able to target like audiences at the same time of those people. Like I was using an analogy with my staff. I'm not trying to target steak eaters with fish. Like I'm trying to target them with steak. Like that's what
Mm-hmm.
we want to do. So take that approach in everything that we do, and really come to specific niche targeted instead of just blasting out radio ads and we hope somebody hears it and decides to buy it.
Mm-hmm. That level of personalization, like you don't see that for a lot of teams, and I think that's where the industry's starting to head towards
Yeah.
is understanding that if you've got kids at home, like well, you promote the kids at home packages. If there's no one home, you promote different like
Right.
teams just don't typically think that way. So I think you guys were pioneers for sure in that regard.
But if you take that too, take that thought process, but then you give your sales department more ammunition of things going on because people are calling in or they're emailing, hey, I saw this youth baseball fundraiser that's going on. Like, what is this about? And they're able to upsell or talk to them about that type of stuff. So it helps the salespeople. It gives them actually hot leads as opposed to trying to, you're trying to call somebody from Miami who came to a game once and you don't know any data based on what they did. Like, who knows why they came?
Mm-hmm.
They might have just been over here for whatever reason. But now we have that information at our disposal. So when we run that through a StellarAlgo data platform, when I book meta ads, we can actually target what the ticket purchasers for that specific niche look like. So not only are they targeting Adam Winslow, who's in the ticket database, I'm also targeting the like Adam Winslow people on top of it. So it's really a double layered effort.
Yeah, I love the personalization, but the other part of this that I think that is a huge takeaway is that you took it one step at a time. You say, we're not going to do all of this stuff. You say, okay, we're going to start with the email marketing. We're going to figure this piece out first. What was that was methodical, right?
It definitely was. I think you try to take one piece of the business at a time and evaluate it and go. Dash was the first thing. Taking Podium and saying, okay, why are we just accepting text in? Why don't we have text going out? Right? Like, it sounds simple, and it's not that simple unless you take a step back. The MailChimp, like, we're sending out these anyways. I would say that my experience, before marketing, where I was a GM of the minor league baseball team and operating other departments, I really got to understand how each department functions, which allowed me to think differently when you're targeting certain areas. I would also say that, I started as an account executive way back in 2001 and moved my way up to VP of sales in 2011. My brain functions as a salesperson, customer first scenario. So now I'm taking those thought and visions into, okay, we want more customers. Here's how they think. Here's my experience. Okay, how do I backtrack it in a way that I can get in front of them in different ways? And it's really taking that information from different experiences and like, okay, I want to attack this, but I can't attack 7 different things. Let's just try one, master it, and get it rolling. Go to the second one, master it, and get it rolling. And what happens, and my staff hates it, is we master those things and we put things in place. But the only thing in this world is, and the constant is change in this world, right? So I start to mess with things the minute we get through it. I'm like, okay, how do I make the texting thing better? Or we also have those texting, our partners that we say, what can we do, or what are you seeing other teams do, or what other technologies you see coming down? We want to be the guinea pig. Let's play around with it. So now it's almost like it's envisioning. It's like when you're a venture capitalist and you start actively buying businesses and being proactive. Eventually, people are just calling you to buy their business.
Correct.
It's kind of the same format that we're going through right now.
Yeah, that's such a great point about that. And what I also love about this is that you are the sales guy. You had picked up the phone call to make sales calls. And what you see with a lot of younger marketing folks, people who are in marketing roles, some are collegiate teams and some of these other ones, they've never picked up the phone to make sales calls. So when they put together marketing, well, how does this look? Or how does it look like? No, dude, the job is to sell more tickets.
Right. At the end of the day, correct.
Yep.
And I think it's about selling the tickets and then what's their experience when they get here.
Correct.
Like,
Yep.
the fan experience and having an ownership group like ours that is super strong, and Dave and Jerry Hoffman and Jeff and them, they every year they want to do one big large capital investment if they can from a fan experience perspective, because you got to keep it fresh, you want to keep things coming, you want to like all those we're going back to those parts, all those parts matter. It's not just Adam and his marketing team, it's not just Chris Palin and the sales team, it's not just Colette and food and beverage. It's not just Dave putting this stuff into place from an ownership side, right? Everybody's got to be going towards the same way, same goal. And fortunately for the marketing department, 5-10 years ago, I would say this, marketing was viewed as a sales support department.
Correct.
It's not anymore. It's a sales generated, revenue generated department on its own, because now we can actually measure it just like the other departments that generate those direct revenue pieces, right? So
Yeah, yeah. So I always look at it like it's the hub and spoke. Marketing's in the middle. We're helping, working with corporate partnerships, working with ticket sales, working with concessions. It's the hub and spoke model for sure.
correct. So I would definitely say in that sense, that's been the experiences in, being a GM of a minor league baseball team, or being in different markets in different sports, has allowed me to understand the inner workings of departments better, which then, especially from a marketing side, I know what food and beverage is looking for. I know what the ticket sales guys are looking for. I know what the sponsorship guys are looking for. But I also understand it because I did it. I sold it. I lived it. I managed it. I understand it.
Yep.
Versus I'm just trying to guess, but I think this is more important. The other part that I would say is we constantly ask other people questions in the marketing department because we don't know all the answers. My marketing department, I have a super creative just guy who can just bring things to life. I say, this is what we like, this is what we want. He brings it to life to make it better than what we thought it was. I have somebody who's an analytical person that just thinks differently but understands the analytics side of it. I have somebody who just structured, content plan, organized. So they're all different. Like if I had five me's, we'd go crazy.
Yep.
We need to find people that are better in things than I am. Not one of them has ever sold a ticket, but that's what I'm here for. I can speak to that, right? So that's how we also that's how we've also grown, is taken different aspects and people from all areas to be able to understand the actual full package of what we're trying to get to.
Yeah. As you start to start going through your Dash is making money, and Jonathan, I've interviewed him. He said you guys are kind of like the gold standard, and he uses you guys as examples. So you started making money on Dash, then you started to do more and more with the email marketing and the texting and what have you. When you start putting it together, what metrics were you looking at to say, hey, this is working or this isn't working? Obviously, ticket sales is the finish line there, but what were some that kind of gave you, hey, we're on the right path here?
I mean, when you start to look, it's really, the analytics side. It's like, okay, everything at the part was measured. So, like, I made specific ticket links for specific campaigns. If it was a social media ad, that ticket link was bladetix.com/social media. And that was the only place that link went, was there. So I know that when we measure it as we go through, we know where that revenue is coming from. When QR codes started to come out around COVID also, like that was huge for me. Like, I would say, does print work? Like, do we really want to spend money on print? Like Valpak, the coupons that go in your mailbox, 300,000. I'm like, let's put a QR code on that so we can see if it actually, people are, yes, there's a branding piece. If we're not in somebody's face, then they're not thinking of us. But what's the analytics behind the ROI? Let's see how many scannable things. And there were some businesses that we made decisions that were like, well, we need to do more of that. Like that's actually working. Yeah, that's not a social media meta ad, but guess what? It's in their hand, it's in their mailbox. They're scanning the QR code, and we still have a great relationship with somebody like Valpak to this day. Now, there's some others that we would take away and we wouldn't do either. And then we're just looking at slow pockets of things. We did the form stack links and some other website-driven stuff that you're able to click and go and measure. Even if a MailChimp went out to 50,000 people and we only sold 25 tickets, but I got 47% open rate, I'm like, they're still opening it. Maybe it's the creative, maybe it's the offer, maybe it's, so we're then analyzing that after the fact. Maybe it's the copy, maybe it's, we need more video, like what? So everything was analyzed after, versus the world when we were going through the business, 20 years ago. You just kind of set the plan in motion. Here's the TV spots, here's the radio spots, and then it was like, all right, we'll do the same thing next year. We do the complete opposite. We literally dive into everything almost to a fault, but it helped us over that part of it. So the analytical side of how is this performing, even if we don't think it's performing, okay, this meta ad didn't sell 40 tickets. Okay, great, but you know what? It got to 274,000 impressions and it got this reach. It's getting in front of people. Let's continue to do that. The other part that we do more so now, is the organic posts that we do. If we find one that takes off, we turn it into a paid ad. Like it's night and day, like why trial and error. And then if it works, and it's unbelievable how those little systematic trial and error, mistakes, try things. If it doesn't work, great, work. But then you take the ones that do, and it takes off.
Yeah, that example you just shared is such a great one where teams aren't willing to do that. They'll put a piece of organic content but don't want to put money in there. But what I think the biggest takeaway with that one is you push it out there and the algorithm is telling you this is a good one. All you're doing is just putting gas in the car. That's all you're doing.
Correct. By the way, you don't need to fill the tank up.
Yep.
You can do a quarter of a tank.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't need to spend $500 on an ad. You can spend 20, 50. Like, play a little bit. That's how we started it. We don't have this unlimited budget that we're just able to, like, that's not what we're in the business for. Methodical trials, small pieces matter, whether it's 20 bucks or an organic post. Wow, this got this. I want to put 100 bucks behind it. Try it out. Like, it still makes sense. Even when you break that down, you get 500,000 impressions or reach or looks on your thing and you only spend $100, do the math. That's better than almost any piece of any other paid marketing you could do.
For sure. Did you have like benchmarks on some things? Obviously, impressions is a huge number, and we know that fills the top of the funnel. But did you have kind of benchmarks on some things? If I spent 20, do I want to get this?
Yeah. I mean, we were trying to get. I was trying to get 3 to 5. If you can get a 3x, like you spend $100, can I get $300 back? Now I would argue with the CFO. The CFO would be like, I go, even if we get our money back, get $100. Covered our costs, but we got 100,000 views. Like, we won.
Yep.
We all intents and purposes didn't spend anything. He's like, no, we gotta have, and I'd be like, okay, but there'd be some things that I'd be like, hey, this was 7x. Like, okay, we did 7x. We spent $100. We got 700. Got it. Okay, guess what? I want to take 300 of that. Give me more money to put in the pool because you see it working. And that's how it really worked, was being really honest and transparent. And don't get me wrong, some things didn't work. Just what it was.
Yep.
But if you don't try it, it's not going to work. Right? It just doesn't. It's not helpful.
So how did you keep track of what worked, what didn't? Did you have some master spreadsheet and you just dumped it in there? That's probably the old-fashioned way of doing it, but that makes sense.
Definitely was the old-fashioned way of doing it. Was building that out. You're spending extra time on it. It's not just 9 to 5. Like, you got to dive. Like, all the stuff that we're talking about is not. It's not 4 hours worth of work. Like, you're diving into that stuff, or we'd find pockets of time, but we would make spreadsheets from scratch basically to really understand how that works, how we track it. Then we'd go back to it the year before. Again, assigning ticket links was great from our business side because I can look back and say, okay, we spent $24,000 in meta ads last year and we generated 220,000. Perfect. This year I'm going to go to 50,000 because now that doesn't mean we're going to spend 50. But I want the allocation to be able to do so if we start to see some things take off. So it was a lot of back and forth with our CFO. And again, like I said earlier, if you know how to speak to certain departments and what they're looking for, you can then get what also you're trying to get out of it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, all the ads that you were running, were they mostly just single game tickets, or were you kind of running some season tickets, some mini plan ads? And
we started with single game hard. It was in season, 2 weeks before the game, just putting it in front of people. Really was that. Then we started to do some season ticket stuff. We started to do some really focus around voucher 12 packs that we offer. Voucher 12 pack for us, makes sense for anybody. Anybody really. The funnel from that goes pretty wide. For me, having 4 people in my family, we're going to 3 games. Boom, got it. I want to take some buddies on hump day deals. Boom, got it. Trying to. We do promote some 365 full membership ads a little bit. What's nice now is we can specifically target those people that actually fall within that. It's not just a blanket ad. It's, okay, this is going to target these 600 people in your database and it's going to pop up or it's going to go into their things. That's how we do that piece of it now versus, how many people can make 36 games, like in the grand scheme of it. There's some thought to, you should be promoting all that, where I'm the other way. I'm like, promote the voucher 12s, because it goes wide. Get them into the game, then let's take the voucher 12 to voucher 24, or to select plan, or to have, so it's that funnel process. And then when you do that, you get them in the voucher 12 funnel, you then move it off to the sales guys.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So we started a little bit more of that in the last probably year now. One thing we're really pushing right now is LinkedIn ads. We're really strong on LinkedIn ads. Corporate businesses, our corporate business is very good, is really healthy throughout the last few years. where we don't have a lot of advertising inventory, suite inventory, but we do have corporate season tickets and the benefits of that side of it, and kind of going the LinkedIn route to be able to do that has been, we've seen some success in that.
Yeah, I've seen some teams use LinkedIn not only for the corporate outings, but for the sponsorship side of it as well.
100%.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. So that's been absolutely marvelous. So you start to see some momentum, and then you kind of turn your attention to the fan experience side. How do I get these people to come back? One game, I got to turn them into two. What did that look like? Did you take the same kind of data analytic approach?
We took the same kind of data approach again. Our ownership has invested, every year. I want to say on average, I would say millions of dollars over the last 4 years in new ribbon boards, digital, like just to have some, bells and whistles to the building because he believes so strong. We bought a 20-foot by 10 feet blimp that flies through the thing. Like people love it. Those types of things we've enhanced, and then we take the nights, in pink on the rink night, and it's not just the guys wearing pink jerseys now. Everything is incorporated. The logo changes colors. Everything inside is completely pink. We have displays in the concourse you get to walk through that are pink specific or integrated with certain things. If you know somebody with breast cancer or breast cancer survivor, sign the walls, like some of that stuff. And it really has enhanced that side of the business where we've been able to really grow every year. You can't just have pink on the rink night and we have the guys wear pink jerseys and that's it. And then there's we have every Saturday night I think we do some type of charitable auction, jersey auction that goes to a local or regional charity of our choice or that we partner with. So that has really generated awareness locally. Everybody gets behind it. It goes to a good cause. Like that's a perfect world. So that stuff we've been able to enhance. And again, as we grow our revenue streams, we then take that money and invest it back into the type of fan experiences to make it a place where people want to go and be a part of.
Love it, love it, love it. What's a challenge that you're still working on even after all these years?
Ooh, challenge that I think the constant evolution of technology and keeping up with it. I think Facebook, Instagram isn't the same it was today. It was 7 months ago, 12 months ago. Staying really up to date on what's coming. Obviously we're diving, my department specifically, we're diving into AI hugely right now. And how does that affect us? How can we make it better? How can we stay ahead of it? I think it's consuming all this information and changes and being able to adapt and go. We're still a lean department. We're still, we oversee all the hockey marketing, PR, communication side of things with creative and AV. I mean, there's 5 or 6 full-time of us that do that. Plus we do all the concerts and shows marketing side too. So there's that piece of it. And I think it's the other things that the challenges that are constantly challenging is being able to keep great people because they're so good at the same time of constantly improving culture, constantly understanding what each employee wants and needs, and to be able to communicate that and help them grow on a personal level. Like all those things go together. Because if you don't have the people or the technology or even understand it, you're dead in the water. It's just the reality of the beast. So I think those are challenges, but they're good challenges to have. It's just making sure that we as a company or myself as a department head invest time into being able to attack each one. Again, so many projects, so many challenges, but you got to tackle one at a time and really try to invest and do the best you can.
So if you're looking at the budget this year and you're planning for your upcoming season, what are you doubling down on? Is it the AI? Is it the meta ads? Where are you doubling down on? And it could be a customer service piece too that we hadn't even touched on.
Yeah, so I would definitely say we're doubling down on more meta. Like I said, we're doing some LinkedIn. We're doing more TikTok ads. We're doing more reels, video, AI for sure. We're diving into that. I know that we've just recently, in the last, I want to say it's almost probably 12 months now, but 8 to 9 months, we're really into Wolf Cycle and that platform and what they do and how they're able to target certain audiences through their technology. And that has helped generate leads and conversations and, where, that Wolf Cycle is doing a job of, let's say, 4 to 5 salespeople, on top of the 7 or 8 we already have, right? it's getting people in that funnel to be able to provide the value that they're looking for or asking for in that sense of it. So we're definitely doubling down on that, and we're really doubling down on our people and culture internally. How do we make it better? What tools can we give them to make their job more successful? At the same time, what value are they providing as employees too? Like that's a big part of it. Being transparent, being honest and open. The communication part is something that is hugely important to our organization.
So as we start to kind of wrap this up here, another minor league teams here in this podcast episode, where should they start to become more data driven?
I think depending on what resources or what platforms they utilize, I would go to social. The attention is still there. Social is free in the grand scheme of it. Organically, I guess you get into the paid ads portion of it. It's really understanding that, and then I would dive into AI. Like that's not going away. Like how can you take AI? What is AI? How does it apply to you? And how do you make yourself valuable being able to use it? I literally use it every day. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they were like, we need to do this, and we need to do that, and we're going this way. In like 15 minutes, I was like, here's a crotch, here's a foundation template to grow off of. They're like, I don't understand. I'm like, it's like grabbing the Encyclopedia Britannica off the bookshelf, but just digitally. Like,
Yep.
Those types of things, like, how do you use, like, AI is not going away, and at the same time, I don't believe it's going to necessarily eliminate the jobs of those who bring value. It's how they utilize the platform, like a texting, like a Meta, like a Vazi, or like a MailChimp. How do you utilize that to better yourselves? Because at the end of the day, people still want to deal with people. Like that's not going to go away. So I would definitely say those types of things, AI, social, are not going away. I would also say one project at a time. Like we've ripped through a lot of technologies. We've talked a lot of things today. I'm in it every day, but you gotta take the time to research one thing and just take one project at a time. It can be, what am I targeting on Wednesdays or Fridays or Saturdays, or how do I market to, like, just pick one. Start with one, because you'll learn off of that one. It'll be successful, it'll be semi-successful, it won't be successful, but you'll learn for the next one, and then the next one, and then one at a time is completely something I would say would be a huge takeaway. You just gotta try it. Like, that's the other part, I think, is once you dive in, you get consumed with it, especially if you're in the wheelhouse of us. Like, you get consumed with that stuff. The hardest part I've seen from people is just trying it, just get in it once. Just take one step forward. After that, you'd be amazed.
Yeah, light bulbs start going off, and you start figuring it out, for sure.
You're thinking differently because you're seeing something different, Don't be afraid of it. Just tackle one thing at a time.
Really quick on the AI side. So what I've noticed is a lot of people use ChatGPT as their virtual assistant. Hey, help me fix the grammar in my email. Help me write a better copy for this. And it's way beyond that. ChatGPT can help you get warm leads by researching LinkedIn. It can do so much stuff. Like, you got 2 tips of how you're using ChatGPT to make your life easier?
It's kind of funny. One that is going to sound really simple, but it's really been super effective is Pink in the Rink night. We'll sit in a promotional meeting and somebody will be like, well, we need to come up with ideas for Pink in the Rink night. Like, what should we do? And then there's 8 people that's like, gee, I don't know. All right, for next week, let's bring ideas to the table on what that is. I come to the meeting the next week and I have 75 different Pink in the Rink ideas, and it literally took me 7 minutes. And they're like, well, you're cheating. And I'm like, no, I'm not cheating. I'm trying to get my brain flow moving of, let's go through each one. We do this, we do that, we can't do that. Oh, wait a minute, we can do this one. Oh, we can do this one. Now, by the end of the day, you got 17 new things you haven't done. Now the human brain goes into, what can I provide, or what ideas can we build off of that to then make it? Like, it sounds so simple, but if you're in it every day, you're not really thinking about it.
Yep.
And then you're like, I'm going to get in and use it. It's the first thing I do. Well, that for sure is one thing. Anything you have a question, I was talking to an employee earlier, and I was like, how do I deal with a situation? And I was like, well, you could try this, or you could try this, or maybe my experience, I went through this. I was like, well, screw it, let's put it into ChatGPT. And they're like, they're just going to tell you what the corporate answer is. And I'm like, am I not? It's spit out. I go, give me 10 different reasons or 10 different ways to deal with this, and how I'm trying to get more out of this and that. It literally spanned 10 different things, and like, we walked out, and there was like 5 that were like, oh, okay, I could do either one of these. But it got them thinking differently and understanding it once you read the roadmap down. I'm not going to. What kind of car do you want? I don't know. Well, okay, we'll go test drive one. Well, I don't like that color. Okay, do you have blue? Like,
Yep.
it's the same scenario.
Yep.
Right? So, those are really the two things I would say is just, again, one project at a time. Just play with it. Ask it. I deal with my 13-year-olds. I got a 13-year-old who's struggling in this. Geez, what would I do? Hey, my 13-year-old is doing this. How do I get them to do this? Or what are some options? And how do I talk to them about this topic?
Mm-hmm.
It gives me 100 different ideas. Then I'm like, all right, this fits my personality. This is how I'll do it. Again, it's just research and using it.
Yep, that's right. I used that just the other day. I don't get Common Core, and I needed someone to help me.
100%, right? Like, after you said this is worthless, why do we do this?
Yep, that's exactly right.
20 minutes ago by doing it the same way we used to learn, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, Adam, I appreciate you dropped so much knowledge, so many value bombs. If teams had questions about something, okay to put your email address in the show notes?
100%.
Okay.
Anytime. You can find me on LinkedIn, my email, whatever the case may be, we'll connect for sure. There's nothing I want more than to help other people learn and progress, because I'm going to be doing the same thing at the same time, because not everything stays the same and not every answer is the same. So I'm totally down for that.
Fantastic. Well, I'll make sure I put it in the show notes, and just appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you being a friend of the program, and just an awesome dad, wonderful friend, and just looking forward to seeing y'all continue to succeed.
Listen, likewise, man. Thanks for everything you're doing. Keep doing it, because you're helping all of us, without a doubt. So we appreciate what you do also.
Sounds good. Thanks.